They say no child chooses the world they are born into. But some children change the world they enter, whether the world is ready or not. This is the story of Naya, the girl whose eyes burned like fire. It began on a dry night. The sky was heavy with heat. The stars were hiding, and the moon refused to shine. In a small round hut at the edge of Abeji village, a woman screamed in labor. Her name was Tammy, young, beautiful, and full of life. But this night, her strength was slipping. For midwives surrounded her, urging her to push. Their brows were soaked with sweat. Outside, the villagers had gathered. The healer's wife was giving birth. And they were curious. Her husband, Jua, stood beneath a tree with arms crossed and lips tight. No jokes came from him that day. He was worried. Tammy gave one final cry, and the hut fell silent. The newborn's first breath filled the room. Then came the scream, high-pitched and long, like wind slicing through forest leaves. But that wasn't what made the midwives freeze. It was her eyes. The baby's eyes opened wide, and glowed. Orange-red. Flickering like tiny flames. One of the midwives nearly dropped her. One whispered, "What have we delivered?" Another said, "This child is not of this world." Tammy, weak but alert, asked to see her baby. They hesitated, but finally laid the child beside her. Tammy looked down, and gasped. The child stared back at her. Not with fear. Not with confusion. But with something ancient. Something knowing. It felt as if this baby already understood the world. Tammy's heart pounded. But not with fear. With awe. She whispered, "She's beautiful." Just then, Jua stormed into the hut. "Is it a boy?" He barked. No one answered. He looked down and stepped back. "What is this? What kind of evil light lives in her eyes?" "She's your daughter," Tammy said. "This thing. This is not my blood. This is a curse. You brought this demon into my house." And with that, he turned and walked out of the hut. He never came back. Tammy didn't cry. She wrapped her baby in cloth, held her close, and whispered in her ear, "Your name is Naya. It means light. Because you are mine. And I will not be afraid of your fire." Word spread through the village quickly. "Have you seen the baby? Her eyes glow in the dark. Her father ran away. She must be a spirit child." Children were warned to stay away from her. Mothers crossed the road when Tammy passed by with Naya on her back. But Tammy never lowered her head. She walked like nothing was wrong. Naya grew in silence, at the edge of the village. Her eyes always burning with a soft, ember glow. At night, they shimmered like coals. She didn't cry much. She didn't talk much. But she watched. She listened. And she remembered. One afternoon, at 5 years old, she walked toward a group of children playing with pebbles. They stopped and stared. "Go away, fire eyes," one boy said. "I just want to watch," Naya said softly. "No. You curse us," another girl shouted. They threw dirt at her. One kicked her leg. Another picked up a stick. But before he could swing it, his arm twisted. He dropped it, yelping in pain. Naya's eyes glowed brighter. He ran, crying. That evening, under the baobab tree, Tammy held her daughter and spoke gently. "Never use your fire to harm," she said. "Even if they hate you. Your fire must be guided." "But Mama, why do they hate me?" Tammy looked at her small daughter, already carrying the weight of rejection. "Because people fear what they don't understand. But one day, your fire will heal, not hurt. That night, Naya lay awake, staring at the roof. Outside, the village drums pounded. Laughter filled the air. It was harvest festival. No one had invited her. No one ever would. She turned her face to the wall and hugged her blanket. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. And a single tear slid down her cheek. Some are born with gifts they didn't ask for. Some are left to walk alone. But a spark left alone still remembers how to burn. Naya was now 10 years old. She no longer tried to play with the other children. She stopped waving at the women in the market. She would only walk with her mother, and even then, people whispered when she passed. Her eyes are brighter now. She didn't blink once. She'll bring fire to our homes. Still, she said nothing. She had learned to keep her fire quiet. But one day, something changed. Naya had wandered past the village stream, picking soft roots for her mother. That was when she heard the voice. "Hey, you." She turned fast, ready to walk away. But the boy standing there wasn't like the others. He had a wooden cane under one arm. His left leg was twisted, and one side of his face held a deep, healed scar. He didn't flinch when he saw her eyes. "Are you really as scary as they say?" he asked. Naya stared at him. "Do I look scary?" He looked at her for a moment. "No," he said simply. "You look lonely." She didn't know what to say. "My name is Beo," he said. "I fell into a lion pit when I was 4. I don't remember much, but my leg never healed right." He smiled a little. "So, you're not the only strange one around." Naya blinked. Then, without smiling, she said, "I'm Naya." "Good," he said. "Come sit. There's a fish in the water that only comes out when it's hot. Let's see if we can catch it." That day, they sat by the stream. They didn't catch any fish. But they talked. And for the first time in years, Naya laughed. Just once. But it felt strange and good. Beo became her only friend. They were always together. If you saw Naya, Beo wasn't far behind. Some villagers began to shake their heads. She's trapped a poor boy. Fire eyes will burn him next. He's only with her because he's broken. But Beo didn't care. And neither did Naya. One night, Naya sat with her mother. "Mama," she said quietly, "why do you think Beo isn't afraid of me?" Tammy was stirring a pot of medicine. She paused. "Maybe, because he carries pain of his own. Sometimes, the broken can see the broken." Naya looked down at her glowing fingers. She covered them in cloth. "Will I always be feared?" she asked. Tammy looked at her daughter and said softly, "The fire in you, Naya, it is not a curse. But if people don't understand something, they try to destroy it. Your job is not to prove yourself to them. Your job is to know who you are." That night, Naya went to bed quietly. She dreamed of walking through a forest, alone, until the trees caught fire and turned to gold. When she woke, her pillow was warm. But not wet. She hadn't cried that night. It was festival season again. Abeji village was loud with dancing, music, food, and laughter. The prince of Eresi kingdom was coming to visit. Prince Okon. He was tall, proud, and always dressed in red silk. Rumors said he had never lost a wrestling match. And that he was looking for a wife. All the village girls prepared. Some braided their hair with cowries. Some wore beads across their chest. They were told to smile, laugh gently, and stand with good posture. Naya had no plans to attend. But Beo came to her hut with a red scarf. "Wear this," he said. "Let them see what they've been afraid of all these years." "I'm not like them," she said. "I know," Beo replied. "That's exactly why you should come." She wore the scarf. When Prince Okan arrived, he looked around, bored. Too skinny. Too short. Too dull. He waved past the girls until he saw something unusual. At the back of the crowd stood Naya. Her eyes glowing under a red scarf. She stood still. Not smiling. Not blinking. The prince froze. He walked straight toward her. "Who are you?" he asked, grinning. "Naya." "Your eyes are dangerous," he said, almost like a joke. She didn't reply. "I like danger," he said louder. "I think I will marry you." The crowd gasped. But before Naya could speak, Beo stepped forward. "She's not interested." The prince's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" "Her friend." "That's not what I asked." "I don't care what you asked," Beo said. Prince Okan stepped forward, hand raised. But before it landed, Naya's eyes lit up. Not bright, but sharp. Focused. The prince stepped back, hand trembling. The air around her was hot. "Don't touch my friend," she said calmly. Prince Okan forced a laugh, looked at the crowd, and stepped back. "No one wants a wife with fire eyes anyway," he shouted. "She'll burn the house down." People laughed. But it was forced. Nervous. Naya and Beo walked away. As they left the crowd, the prince watched them with narrowed eyes. He wasn't done. Not yet. A flame cannot be hidden forever. And the one who tries to silence it often gets burned. Some say danger shows its face. Others say it watches in silence before it strikes. After the festival, Naya and Beo returned to their quiet lives. But something had changed. The prince had seen her. And now, he wanted something she would never give. The next few weeks, Naya and Beo spent more time in the forest than in the village. They walked together, searching for herbs. Tammy had taught them how to tell the difference between healing leaves and poisonous ones. Beo picked a small leaf and smelled it. "What does this one do?" Naya smiled softly. "Boiled, it stops fever. Crushed, it makes you sleep." Beo raised a brow. "Remind me not to make you angry." She chuckled. "You're safe, for now." They laughed. And for a moment, Naya forgot she was Fire Eyes. She was just a girl, in a quiet forest, with the one person who saw her as human. But peace does not last in a village that fears power. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the shadows stretched long, royal guards arrived in Abeji. They carried red flags and wore golden robes, the mark of Eres's royal house. They did not greet the elders. They did not wait for permission. They had only one message. "Prince Okan has sent for the girl called Naya." The chief stammered. "Why her?" The lead guard didn't blink. "The prince has chosen." Tammy stood in her doorway when she heard. She ran. By the time she found Naya and Beo in the forest, the guards were already near. "They want to take you," she said breathless. "Tonight." Naya's face was calm. But her hands were shaking. "I said no," she whispered. "You must say it again," Beo said. Louder. But this time, Tammy added, "They may not listen." That night, as darkness fell, the villagers gathered around Naya's hut. The guards returned, expecting her to come quietly. She didn't. Naya stood before them. Her red scarf was wrapped tight. Her chin was high. "I will not come with you," she said. One guard stepped forward. "The prince does not accept refusal." "Then he must learn," Naya replied. The guard raised his hand to grab her, but Beo jumped between them, cane in hand. "Touch her, and I'll break your fingers," he said. The crowd gasped. The guards hesitated. Then the lead one laughed. "So, this is the crippled lion everyone talks about." He shoved Beo to the ground. Naya's eyes lit up. Not glowing. Burning. Flames shimmered from her pupils, dancing without smoke. The guard who touched Beo dropped to his knees, clutching his chest. He couldn't breathe. The others froze. The chief stepped forward, panicked. "Stop. No blood must be spilled in our village." Tammy rushed to Naya and whispered. "Let him go, my daughter." "Not like this. Not now." Naya blinked. The glow faded. The guard gasped for air, then crawled backward, shaking. The guards did not take her that night. But they left a message. This is war. The prince does not forgive. Back in the palace, Prince Okon slammed a goblet to the ground. "She humiliated my men," he hissed. His advisor stood quietly. "She must pay. I will not be laughed at by a girl with cursed eyes." He stared into the fire, eyes full of hatred. "She thinks her flame is power," he whispered. "Let's see what power she has, when everything she loves is taken." Naya sat under the baobab tree beside Beo. The wind was cold. The fire in her eyes barely flickering. She knew it now. The quiet was over. The prince wouldn't stop. And the fire inside her would be tested. When fear meets pride, sparks fly. But when love stands against power, the fire becomes something more. Some say evil comes like thunder, loud and fast. But sometimes, it comes like smoke. Slow. Creeping. Silent. Until it chokes everything. It began with a goat. Naya and Tammy were walking back from the forest with herbs when the smell hit them. The air was different. Sharp. Like burnt leaves. Children ran past, shouting. "The chief's house is on fire." Beo limped past them, breathless. "They set it," he said. The guards returned in the night. Naya froze. "They're not playing anymore," she whispered. The prince was done sending messages. Now, he sent fire. The fire spread fast. 3 homes gone. 2 children missing. And a goat, strangled and burned, left at Naya's doorstep. A warning. The elders held a meeting in secret. Naya was not invited. But Beo heard them through the wall. "She must leave," one of them said. "Before the prince burns the whole village." "But she saved my wife's life," another whispered. "Yes," the first replied. "But what's one life, if the rest of us die?" The decision was made. The next morning, Naya stood before the council. "You must go," the chief said. "For your own safety. And ours." Tammy grabbed her daughter's arm. "She's done nothing wrong." But Naya raised her hand calmly. "I understand," she said. Then she turned and walked away. Outside their hut, she and Beo packed herbs in silence. "I'll go with you," Beo said. "No," Naya replied. "They've already burned enough. You think I care what they burn?" She turned to him, eyes tired but warm. "You're the only good thing here." He smiled. "Then I'm coming." She didn't argue again. That night, under the moon, they walked into the forest. Tammy stayed behind, too weak to travel far. They found a place to rest near the stream. Before they slept, Naya lit a small fire with her fingers. I never knew you could do that without wood, Beo said. I never tried, she whispered. I was always scared. He looked at her. I'm not. She smiled. A real one. But they weren't alone. Heavy footsteps snapped a twig nearby. Prince Okan's guard stepped into the clearing, swords drawn. You didn't think he'd let you live in peace, did you? The captain sneered. Run, Naya told Beo. No. The captain stepped forward. The prince gave an order. Bring her back. Alive, if possible. Beo raised his cane like a spear. Come take her then. They rushed. Beo fought hard. But they were too many. One struck him on the back. He fell. Naya screamed. Then came the flames. Huge. Wild. Rushing from her hands. Trees lit up. The air shook. The guards froze. Then screamed. Fire circled them like a wall. Naya's eyes blazed. Her voice was deep. Strange. You come for fire, and now you will feel it. She didn't move. She just stared. And one by one, the guards dropped. Not burning. Frozen in terror. Their swords too hot to hold. Their knees too weak to stand. They ran. All but one. The captain tried to charge again. But Beo, still on the ground, pulled his cane and swept the man's legs from under him. He fell. Beo stood slowly. You all right? He asked. Naya didn't speak. Her body was shaking. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to do that much, she said. You did what you had to do, Beo replied. And you did it well. When the smoke cleared and morning came, they walked back to the village. The villagers were waiting. The guards had told them what happened. Some looked afraid. Others, ashamed. Tammy was there. Her eyes swollen from crying. You came back, she whispered. I had to, Naya said. They brought word to us. I only answered. The chief stepped forward. You saved us again. But the prince won't stop now. You've embarrassed him twice. Then let him come, Naya said. This time, I won't wait. A flame that is haunted grows wild. And when it has nothing left to lose, it becomes firestorm. Naya had tasted what her fire could do. It saved her. It saved Beo. But fire, once released, never stays quiet. That night, after sending the prince's guards fleeing, Naya became the talk of every hut in Abeji. Some called her savior. Others whispered behind their doors, she is no longer human. But Naya didn't listen. She had a decision to make. And to make it, she needed the one person who had always told her the truth, her mother. Inside their hut, Tammy stirred a pot of herbs. Naya and Beo sat nearby, silent. Naya's eyes flickered dimly as she stirred a cup of tea. Then she turned to her mother. Mama, she said softly. You told me once that my fire was not a curse. Tammy nodded, saying nothing. Then tell me now, what am I? The room fell silent. Even the fire stopped crackling. Tammy's hands trembled. She sat down slowly. I prayed you'd never ask, she said. Why? Because the truth is dangerous. More dangerous than fire. I can handle it now, Naya said. I need to know. Tammy sighed, her eyes distant. Years ago, before you were born, I met a man. Not from Abeji. He was tall. Quiet. and his eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Just like yours. He said he came from the Flame Clan, a hidden people far to the north, born with fire in their veins. He said he had run from war, that their kind was being haunted. I helped him. He stayed in Abeji, hidden. We fell in love. Tammy's voice cracked. Then one night, he left. He said he had to return home, to save what was left of his people. He didn't come back. That man was your father. Naya sat still. Why didn't you tell me before? Because I didn't know if it was true. I didn't want you to carry his burden. You were just a child. But I'm not anymore, Naya said. She stood. Her eyes flickered brighter than ever. If my father had power, then that power is mine. And I won't hide it anymore. The next morning, a messenger ran into the village square. Prince Okan is coming. With soldiers. People screamed. Doors slammed. Mothers grabbed their children. The chief called a meeting. We can't fight the prince, he said. His army is too big. One elder whispered, let's hand her over. Maybe he'll stop. Tammy heard them. She stood tall. Give her to them, and you'll burn with shame forever. The crowd murmured. Then Baal stepped up. Stop acting like she hasn't saved you all twice. But he is a prince, one man said. And she is a flame, Baal snapped. Which one protected you? The chief hesitated. Then Naya stepped forward and walked to the middle of the square. If it's me they want, she said, let them come. I will not run. Prince Oken rode with 50 guards behind him. Red banners waved. Chains gleamed on his chest. His eyes were cold. Beside him, a new advisor rode, an old, cloaked man with strange tattoos on his arms. She has power, the advisor said. I don't care, Okan replied. I will crush her. Then they will all know who rules. The advisor grinned faintly. Be careful, he whispered. Fire is hard to hold once it begins to dance. That night, Naya, Baal, and Tammy prepared in silence. Naya ground glowing leaves. This root causes blindness for a moment. Baal sharpened his broken cane. This stick broke once, he said. I won't let it break again. Tammy looked at them both. My daughter, your father gave you fire. But you gave it meaning. No matter what happens, remember who you are. Naya hugged her. Tears ran quietly. But no words were said. When the sun rose over Abeji, the drums came with it. Distant. Heavy. Closer with every breath. The villagers stood in fear. But Naya stood alone at the front of the village. Barefoot. Eyes glowing bright. She was not afraid. She was ready. To face a storm, you must first know your name. And when your bloodline burns, even kings tremble. At dawn, silence fell over Abeji. But it wasn't peace. It was the kind of silence that comes before a storm. Naya stood at the edge of the village, alone. She wore no armor. She carried no weapon. Only a red cloth tied around her wrist, her mother's. Behind her, villagers peeked from behind walls. Some whispered prayers. Others whispered doubts. But no one dared stand beside her. Except Baal. Limping, but firm, he stepped to her side. You always stand in front of danger, he said. Let me stand beside it for once. She looked at him. And nodded. The sound of drums grew louder. The prince was close. Prince Oken arrived with soldiers in red and gold. Their faces were hard. Their steps sure. And at the front rode Oken himself. He stepped down from his horse, calm and proud. Beside him, the cloaked advisor whispered something into his ear. Okan nodded. He took a few steps toward Naya and smiled. Well, he said, you didn't run. I don't run from cowards, Naya replied. His smile faded. I gave you a chance, he said. You embarrassed me. Twice. Now, I'll show this village what happens to disobedience. Naya's eyes flickered. Try. Okan gave a wave. His guards charged. The villagers screamed and scattered. Before they could reach her, Naya raised her hands. A wave of heat burst from her palms. Dust swirled. Fire spun like a serpent and blocked the path. The guards stopped, blinded by heat. She stepped forward. Leave. Now. Or burn. But Prince Okan didn't flinch. He turned to his advisor. Now, he whispered. The cloaked man stepped forward and began to chant in a strange tongue. Suddenly, Naya felt it. Her fire flickered. Her arms felt heavy. Something was wrong. Beo ran to her side. Naya. What's happening? She fell to her knees. The fire around her weakened, then vanished. The advisor stepped closer, strange marks glowing on his hands. He's a firebinder, Tammy gasped from the crowd. He can suppress flame. Okan laughed. So much for your power. He stepped forward and raised his sword. Just as he was about to strike, a scream cut through the air. It was Tammy. No. She ran forward, arms outstretched, but a guard blocked her and threw her down. Okan turned back to Naya. You will kneel, he said. But Beo stepped between them. No, he growled. She will never kneel to you. Okan struck him. Beo hit the ground. Blood on his lip. Naya's eyes opened wide. The fire was still locked inside her. But her heart was burning. Tammy crawled toward her daughter. Naya, listen to me. Your father taught me a chant, for the old blood. I never wanted to teach you unless I had to. Naya's breathing slowed. She leaned in. Tammy whispered 3 words into her ear. Naya's eyes widened. Then something shifted. The wind stopped. The air thickened. And suddenly, a shockwave of red flame exploded from the ground. The binding was broken. Her eyes weren't just glowing now. They were on fire. Her hair floated like smoke. Her skin shimmered gold and orange. The prince stepped back. The advisor began to chant again. Naya raised her hand. Flames wrapped around him like ropes, burning his mouth shut. She turned to the prince. You want power? She said. Here it is. She didn't throw fire. She became it. The ground cracked. The guards dropped their weapons and ran. Okan stood alone. Shaking. You're a monster. No, Naya said. I'm a legacy. She raised one hand. But before she struck, her mother's voice rose. Don't kill him, Naya. You're not like him. Naya paused. Her flames calmed. But her eyes still burned. She lowered her hand. Leave, she told the prince. Go back to your palace. Tell your people what happened when you tried to control fire. Okan backed away. His horse was gone. His guards were gone. He walked. Alone. The villagers gathered slowly. They stared at Naya. Some afraid. Some in awe. The chief stepped forward and bowed his head. Forgive us, he said. We don't need forgiveness, Beo said, wiping his lip. We need change. Naya looked out at them. She was tired. But she was no longer small. She was fire. And she would never hide again. Some are born with fire. Others must earn it. But only the brave choose not to burn others with it. This was only the beginning of Naya's journey. The fire within her has awakened. But the shadow that haunts her bloodline is still rising. In part 2 of this story, Naya will leave the village, face betrayal, prophecy, and the return of something even older than the flame itself. The war between power and legacy has only just begun. So if you felt the fire, don't miss what comes next. Watch part 2 of The Girl with the Flame Eyes.